Good morning, United Kingdom. Are we live? Are we live?
Yes.
Yes, we're live. Good morning, United Kingdom. Good morning to everyone. Welcome back to a morning session of the Alternative Business and Properties Community Solution Community. Sorry, I keep missing that one. With Lakhi Singh, the property and the business fixer. Obviously, we have a weekly topic, and the weekly topic is how to turn your wounds into wisdom, or as certain people say, different parts of the world, they call them wounds. But I think wounds into wisdom is probably difficult. Wounds is probably more turning a wound copper wire into a motor. That's probably more probable, if you want to call it a wound. But otherwise, how to turn your wounds into wisdom, which is a very philosophical, I think, topic this week. We're looking at, tragedy and trauma and these things that have probably affected everybody somewhere, somehow. And I think everybody comes out better for themselves, having gone through the process of trauma and lots of different type of traumas. I think the present lockdown is creating a trauma in lots of people, and it's very important that we learn how to handle that and come out of it better for ourselves. And if we don't know how to handle the trauma of being locked down, it may turn upside down. So hopefully, we pray everyone out there who is in lockdown, who is someone feeling despondent or dismay or all the other negative feelings, that they listen in to us and get something, a ray of hope from the discussions we have, because we've had lots of different discussions. Lakhi Singh himself is no stranger to trauma, and he's been very candid in his interviews in the Wikipedia life story. Really, been very candid about the traumas he's gone through, and I've been very careful not to make him too emotional. But I think it does. It does, affect people in different ways. Having said that, we've got the ever wonderful Rajesh Moore. I think he's a wonderful person. He's learnt, I think, transmit from him. He's a gentleman, I think, who's learnt to be grateful for everything, and he's a very positive, very energetic, and a very humble person, I would say, because he never comes out with any negative comments. He's always got an opinion about everything, which is not a bad thing necessarily. I think in a world where everyone's so worried about political correctness, to find somebody who's got an opinion about things is refreshing, I think, because you can always get an answer from him. You expect for him to give you an answer on something, whether how trivial the topic is or important. So today, the topic that he has presented, I'm sure we put a banner out for registered. And we did give a banner out for him. And obviously, the topic is probably going to be something that he's going to have personal knowledge of, and that is how to deal with rejection and failure. And I assume the rejection bit is more about relationships, and the failure bit is probably going to be a mix of relationships and business or personal, life, where it comes to work, etc., etc. So today, well, I'm not crying at the moment. I may cry at the end of this session. I'm just wiping my eyes so I can see the screen a bit more clearly. Yeah, so we're going to invite in Rajesh first, because I think Lakhi Singh is running slightly late, uncommonly. Normally he's on time. We'll have him on after 5 or 10 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to have Rajesh on, so we're turning around the format today, because Lakhi Singh is busy. I think we're getting prepared for something else. Right. Do we have the ever wonderful, the philosophical, the deep thinker, the Socrates of the drive time session. Mr. Rajesh Malhotra on, please.
Hi, good morning again, Vijay. Thank you for having me again. Very actually honored and humbled, and to be here to share my particular skills, expertise, knowledge with others. Like you said, thank you for the introduction. I feel very grateful and humble. And today's topic is particularly personal for me. Not just professionally, but personally, on how to deal with rejection and how to deal basically with failure. It's a topic that is quite close to my heart, and what's happening obviously at the moment with everything that's going on. Dealing with rejection and failure, whether you're going for a job, starting a business, having relationships with others, there are certain skills and strategies that I've learned from others and myself that I've integrated in my life. And like I said, I don't presume to know everything, but what I do have to share, maybe you could help others watching this.
Right, I'm gonna take the surgical knife, Rajesh. I'm gonna start dissecting all these things up to make sense of it. Not sense for you, because I'm sure you made lots of sense of it, but to make sense of it for the audience, because like you said, just by talking, there may be people out there who get an idea, an inspiration, an opinion, clarity. I don't know what they're going to get, but the fact is the intention, and everything goes around intention. So our intention is pure, and the intention isn't to add any salt to your already wounds that they may have already, hopefully, now cleared up, or at least be on the verges or the stages of becoming clear. So I'm going to ask you first, because I'm going to start from rejection, because rejection is it's quite a difficult thing for men. Now I'm going to talk about relationships a bit more today. And the reason I'm going to do so is that men, in their inherent psychology, from the time they even see the first female at school who seems to take their eye, a fancy that they have, to the woman who becomes their wife, men are used to handling or dealing with rejection. And the reason for that is we're the hunters. In normal psychology of man, we're the hunters. We're out there trying to make moves. When we're children, we're just trying to find that good friend, that good-looking girl that we like. We're trying to woo her by drawing paintings, of Father Christmas with an extra red hat on or something, and trying to impress her with our artistic designs. And from there, do we go on from our early lives, teenager to adolescence to becoming mature adults, in dealing with rejection, because it is a man who needs to tap dance for the woman. We have been designed to try and make the female attracted towards us in any way, form, or shape. When you have it in nature, it's very simple. Female lion starts giving off her scent. The bloke lion smells it and says, right, it's time to have some kids. It's very simple. But even then, he's got to fight off certain other members of the pride, and he's probably have to also woo this female lion to convince her he's the man. He's the one who's going to give her the strongest cubs. It's all about nature there. Here, we have something thrown into the pot that the Almighty, if you believe in the Almighty, if you don't, then you must believe your intellect that you are much, much more intellectual than an animal, because you've been able to make cars, you've been able to make buildings. been able to make so many perfumes. You can sprinkle yourself with a perfume to make the lady smell you, think you smell of leopard urine, and come across and try to talk to you, and normally you'll be ignored by all the women in the room. So all these little techniques come from intellect. We've got intellect. I don't think you're going to see a lion trying to drive around a jag, even though he's got this picture or one of his cousins' pictures stuck all over it. But, you don't see a lion trying to buy a jag to impress a woman. And if you look at the reality of humans, of men, we are quite happy to live in cardboard boxes. I could get a nice cardboard box, throw in a pillow, a couple of blankets. I'd be quite happy to live in that. It's because I have an ulterior requirement. I need to show that I'm the strongest horse. I need to show that I am a good bet. For who? Obviously, for the other sex. So, let's start with that. What's your demeanor when it comes to the females? Are you trying to tap dance and convince them? Or are you more of a soft person who is wanting someone to understand your internal side, Rajesh? Someone who can understand your deeper thinking and love you for your intellect rather than your physicality. Which one is it?
Well, I have to say, I think dating nowadays, just a slight digression on the topic, is a bit of a minefield. You've got a lot of, going back to your point about us being hunters. Yeah, it's like maybe when you're younger and you're going out with your mates to a club, for instance. I mean, you can't go now, but when you're going mates to a club and then you see say an attractive girl at the bar, and your instinct is to say, "Can I buy you a drink?" And they say, "Well, no," because you haven't sort of engaged in it. It's rather like when you go into a shop and a sales assistant approaches you and says, "Can I help you?" What you need to do is find out about that person. Firstly, you've got to find out if she's with her girlfriends or if she's got a boyfriend. The other thing is, yes, you're right. I agree with you. As males, we don't take rejection in any form actually very well. We take it quite personally. And I used to do that when I used to
I didn't say that, Rajesh. No. I said we are designed to take rejection. Now it comes to the individual, how strong or weak they are. We are always being rejected. You walk up to that good-looking girl, she says, "No thanks, I'm with my boyfriend." You're rejected. Yes?
And
if she's interested in you, there's a wonderful, I don't mean to cut you in because I want this to go somewhere so people can actually get the feeling of what you're feeling. I was watching these YouTube videos where they've got this guy who drives around in a Lamborghini and a Porsche in Beverly Hills and Hollywood and that area, and gold digger. It's called the gold digger, and he hands me a golden what's it now? A golden spade, small spade he buys. It's all sprayed in golden color, and they're called gold diggers. It proves that women in that neck of the woods, I'm not saying this is women per se, but the women in that neck of the woods where there's a lot of pretentiousness, a lot of money flying around, and there's a lot of females out there trying to, look for the richest guy in town. And he literally first drives up in a normal car or in a cycle or something, and then all of a sudden he sort of like whistles to his friend who turns up, and he pulls up in a Lamborghini or something, and all of a sudden this girl who's not taking any interest in him comes back, starts talking to him. Now, that is the law of nature. We're hunters, but we take our hunting, because we're humans. We're a bit more cleverer than just animals. I don't expect you to be going out. Do you go out? I don't know. We'll ask you that later. Do you go out in the garden and urinate in the four corners to make sure everyone knows it's your garden or your house? Or you may be doing it in your house, I don't know. But the point is, as men, we are transmitting messages. Okay, that's why we bother buying a nice watch. That's why we buy nice cars, nice suits. Otherwise, we could be living in a cardboard box quite easily. So, my question to you is, we are designed, and this is what I want to make sure that there is no difference in that. We are designed for rejection because we have that ability to accept that women are different in their likes and dislikes. So now continue, sir. So you were talking about you're dating at the moment, and you're in a bar, and she tells you, "I'm with my friends." So what are you trying to get to? What's the point you're trying to make, Rajesh?
Well, the point I'm trying to make is, and I've got to be careful how I say this because I am married, is the fact that when maybe she's just come there just to enjoy with her friends, we don't know what's going on in her life, you know, and she may be approached by lots of guys, you know, and she just wants to be left alone. I found one thing which is, he said, very similar to the animal kingdom is, and this is no stereotype on anyone, especially females, but when the girls go out on the town, so to speak, they sort of like stick together. So if you approach one of the girls, the other girls would sort of like do a protective barrier because maybe they're protecting her, you know.
Yeah, okay.
That's one of the things that I've noticed or observed. The other thing is maybe she's not looking for someone right now. So guys take that person and say, "Oh yeah, you know, she's not interested," and you may start laughing at you and stuff like that. But it's taking it to the other side, right? You see, maybe you're at, okay. Let's take a different scenario. You're at I don't know if we do it in this country, but okay, let's just take the US. Proms are very important over there. You know, prom night, and they have with a corsage and they go out. And most of the guys and girls have dates. But what about if you go on your own? You don't have a date. You see a girl in the corner, and you approach her, and you just have a conversation, a sort of conversation. You know, just say, "Oh, you with anyone?" And they say no, and everything. You start a conversation. You're not. I've got a point here. What you're not trying to do is you're not trying to make her feel uncomfortable. You just want to find out. And she said, "Well, I'm not with someone either." And you say, "Okay, do you mind going for a dance?" It's more subtle. The other thing I found that, like you're saying with rejection, is I'm not sure, and like I said, I'm not an expert at this. I'm not sure if women feel the same way being rejected, because going back to the other analogy, say there is an attractive woman and a lot of attractive. Let me just finish this point.
Okay, let's go before we. 1 minute. There you go.
Say there's a really attractive woman, beautiful, stunning. And, a lot of guys will be intimidated to approach her because they feel that they're going to reject her. But then the girl's saying, well, "There's no guys are approaching me." So, you know, what we're basically doing, we're assuming. Now, you could go over there and talk to her and she could still reject you. But if you don't go over and talk to her first, how do you know? And I think when you're younger, you don't have any role models.
Let's keep it there then. Let's keep it there. I'm going to now become a woman trapped in a man's body for you. Okay? And I'm going to give you the other side of the story. Okay?
Very scary thought, Vijay.
Yes.
I'll go with
it. Yes, but you need to go with it. First of all, I think there's a misconception with guys. I don't want to stick on this topic too long because I want to move on and see where the rejection and what type of rejections are those that create. But I want to just start off the topic because we know it's about relationships. Rejection is about relationship. Rejection, the topic itself is about one's anticipation, one's expectations, and someone being hurt somewhere or someone being rejected in that expectation. So I'm going to become a woman trapped in a man's body. before I do that, we have a YouTube listener. Name comes out as, what's her name? Shiva Shakti, that's right, Neelam. I'm a friend of Lakhi's. Wow, great. That's good news. We got some other, I got Mandy and Marsha. Anybody else? John Smith? No? All of these people saying hello to us. We started off with the topic. We've got about 5-6 people watching us. 9 people watching us. Obviously, relationship matters. So
Yes.
people want to listen in and get into your mindset and work out, are they doing it right? Are they doing it wrong? So I'm the woman now, trapped in a man's body. And I'm saying to you, Rajesh, first of all, let's take out the concept of the genitals. So I'm neither a man or a woman, and you're neither a man or a woman. Now, if we behaved as we would meet anybody else of the same sex, in a meeting, in a function, in a bar, in a club, taking away the expectation of a club that everyone's going in there to find hot dates and this, that, the other, just on the level of a woman wanting to go out either on her own or with her friends to get the same comfort, same enjoyment that a man's getting. It's not always correct that we should assume that a woman is going to the bar because she's looking for a relationship.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's the same thing for men. It's not always the assumption that they are going there to have a relationship. They're going to enjoy the environment, the noise, the music, the food or the drinks, or they just want to get high on drinks because they've got a stressful job. Now, if that was brought into the mix when these type of very short activities go on, a lot of problems wouldn't be there in respect of feeling rejected, because we're assuming, and you can't assume about someone in such a short time, especially with lots of music playing, drinks, noise, etc. Now, I'll tell you an experience that I had. A lady, speed dating. She looked at me and said, "I've got nice skin." I said, "Yes." She said, "I've just come back from the other playing field. I didn't work. I couldn't understand what she was saying. So look, I've just been, I've been for a while on the other side of the fence. I've come back into the normal, the heteros fence. I'm sure with a bit of makeup and a bit of change of clothes, it could be good transition for me." So, I mean, how do I take that? Am I a woman? Am I a bloke? Am I trying to satisfy her requirements to move from one sexual preference to the other? It's not the case, is it? It's everybody has their own precepts about what they want, especially in the dating game. So rejection in the dating game, I think it's really an internal thing. I think we have to be strong ourselves that when we're going out there to find someone, that we should accept that there is no expectation. Rejection should be the criteria. And I think in women, there's slightly more of an emotional position in being rejected, and that's why you probably get more or disorders in females, like bulimia and the others. What's it now? The other one when they eat and vomit and stuff like that, because they are having to live lots of many pressures that men don't. So they don't have to look smart and always look pretty and always have their hair made and lipstick and always looking like they've just come out of the models magazine. So they have more pressures on them, and therefore
they definitely do. They definitely do.
Right.
It's really unfair.
That's it. So that topic will close, because I want to move on to actually live matters where you have been rejected, and therefore hence the topic rejection and dealing with it and failures. Where and what happened in rejection, in the fact of rejection, that it is a topic that you feel you want to talk about. What happened?
The reason I want to talk about rejection is well, let's take it in a professional environment. Imagine, for instance, with the lockdown, you get offered, you apply for some jobs, you get offered a telesales position, telesales, telemarketing. Let's go for telesales, and you can do this while you're doing your live broadcast, and you're doing it from home because obviously the lockdown, you can't really go out, and you have to phone. And I've seen this on job adverts, which is I'm a bit stunned, but you have to make at least 80 to 100 calls a day. All right, that's what they expect because they're targeting you. So it's a sales environment. So you pick up the phone and you say, "Hi, Mr. Smith, my name is, who the hell are you? Why are you ringing me?" And they put the phone down on you, right? And this has happened to me many times, and what happens? It did. When I first started, it affected me because even though they say to you, you need a bit of a script, they can sense the nervousness. I mean, I was talking to business. I couldn't get my words out. Business decision, and also getting through what are called the gatekeepers. So I was calling them, and they were putting the phone down, and I was getting really frustrated because I was taking it personally. So what happened was, I was getting to the point where I was thinking, this is not for me. And then one of the guys who was sitting next to me said, "Look, take a bit of a break. We'll have a bit of a water. Tell me what's wrong." I said, "Well, these people just put the phone down." And he goes, "It comes with the territory, Rajesh. What you need to do is you don't take it personally, because." And then what he said, "Would you like to listen to some of my calls?" I mean, this was a long, long time ago. So I started listening to the calls, and what it was is that when the phone was put down on him, or the phone said, he would just smile and say, "Oh, thank you for your time, sir," and and then go on the next call. And I said, "Well, how can you be so calm?" And he says, "Well, we don't know. It might not be the right time for the person, or the product that I'm selling in this case. Let's just say it's, I don't know, mobile phone contracts, which I have done actually. Then they're not willing to change their business mobile phone contract at this time. They're happy, but I'll put a note in the diary to call him back, and now I've got a name. Then I can say, "Oh, could you put me through to so and so?" So slowly, I was watching this guy, and I said, "Well, if this guy can do it, he's I mean, I'm not saying it was aesthetically pleasing or anything, but he just came across very authoritative on the phone. I mean, you said to stand up and that, and I took that on board. And slowly, he was still making a lot of calls. Slowly, started to get into my own rhythm, and I thought, okay, well, if this person doesn't want it, it's not right for them. And we were told that every no takes you to another yes. I know it sounds a bit cliched, but with anything, let's take another example. Say you want to go for a job, right? Now, a lot of people are, currently struggling at home. They're looking for work. I mean, I've been on the job boards. I know how many people are applying. There's a lot of competition. But say they phone you up and they say, "Hi, we'd like to give you a telephone or a video interview," right? So you say, "Okay." A video interview. All right, let's just say that it's a face-to-face interview. They call you in and they say, "We'd like to invite you down for an interview, Mr. Malhotra." I say, "Oh, okay." So I pop down. I go for my say first face-to-face interview, and I usually do a lot of research. This has actually happened to me, and I come across and I talk to them, and then they say, "Okay, we'll get back to you," because I always ask, "What's the next stage?" And they said, "Well, we are shortlisting after this interview, the next interview." And then they call me for the next interview. I passed the first interview, which I was quite chuffed about, and then I go for the second interview. And then after that, they give me a call later and say, "Really sorry, on this occasion, you weren't successful." Now, I could take that of either one or two ways. I could say, I'm sure I was the best candidate for that position, and I could get frustrated and angry, and I have in the past. Or I could say, okay, the fact that they gave me feedback is good. It could have been other things. They could have
Okay,
hired an internal.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
lots of information coming out there. Let's
Yeah.
catch it up there. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Generally, the feeling of not getting the job. That's what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. The feeling, and how to
Yeah,
deal with that feeling.
that's
You know.
it. I got through the first round. I was stressed. I didn't know. There was lots of people applying, and lots of real good people. Got
Yeah.
through, and all those people got through. Right, bang. Second round. Wow. You know, I'm there. I'm there. I can touch. I can feel. I can smell the job.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, unfortunately, we wish you the best in your endeavors, etc., etc. Right, okay. I'm going to turn again. I'm going to turn the conversation around, and I'm going to talk as an employer. So I'm not going to talk about the experience from an employee's point of view, because we've had that from you. I want to become an employer. Now, employers are just like employees. There is no different planet that an employer comes from. But there are profiles, and the profiles normally actually determine the way they will perceive of you. Now, this is an excellent tip for people out there trying to go through interviews, and if they aren't getting it right, they need to look at why. There's another way of looking at it. Now, in interviews, normally conducted either by senior people in the company who do level 1, then it goes to level 2, and then it comes to level 3. Normally, level 3 is where I would be interviewing someone. Now, in level 1 and 2, I'm expecting the job description and the things that revolve around the job description to be the basis of filtration. Otherwise, that filtration is all going to be left to the personality of the level 1 and level 2 staff. And I am not going to rely upon their personal preferences to determine who's going to come to the final interview in front of me. So what I'm going to be relying on is that my job description and the knowledge that I'm looking for in a person fits that job description. That's the first thing. And I'm going to rely on level 1 staff if it is like a basic interview that's being conducted by someone who is an administrator or a junior manager. I won't expect it to be narrow, because they're not going to take a risk of losing someone who fits the job description and has all the knowledge that's required of that job. It doesn't work. So when you go for an interview, if you go to an interview of a company which is quite specific, you know, it's a design engineering company, or it is a manufacturing company, or it is an airline company, somewhere where the work that they do is very specific, you need to remember that you need to go in phases. You cannot expect to throw your personality out in phase 1. That's not where it counts. Because phase 1, what counts is they look at their checklist, they look at what you're saying, they look at your CV says, and they think this person on paper fits the job. Then when they come and they ask you questions, they're normally asking you questions which are relevant to the actual knowledge of that job. They won't be asking things about your personality or what do you play, do you have any hobbies. That's not really for level 1. Now you get past the first level. Right, so you got the first pod who's questioning you all, and he's seeing that your CV matches, your knowledge and experience is actually relevant, and what you say in your CV is actually true and relevant, so you actually understand what the job is about. And what you do is, you would normally find, if you do it that way, you're going to get through phase 1 quite easily, because that person's just expecting to check the best person that matches the job. That's it. Nothing more than that. I am I'm senior manager. I've got this list of 1,000 job applicants. The job is for 3 people, and I've seen now that out of 3, we've whittled it down. Out of the 1,000, we've whittled it down to 10%. So we've got now 100 applicants. I've got to whittle it down to the last 6, because the senior director or the owner of the business wants a bit of choice. It doesn't want to be narrow to what I feel is the best shot. I don't want to take a risk and give him the wrong staff member. It's going to shoot me tomorrow and say, where the hell did you find this person from? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now narrow it down, but I'm going to keep, if I need 3, I'm going to look for 6 to 10. Why? So I know if one doesn't turn up, one isn't quite right, one is not liked, one doesn't have a personality, then I know that the boss whose personality I know is going to like this person or not like this person. And I've got a range of up to 3 times the amount of the job requirements to play around with, because by the time they get to second level, some of them may have weeded out and got a job elsewhere. So now when I have this second level interview, I'm going to reconfirm what happened in level 1, but I'm going to be looking for commitment. I'm going to be looking for that value add. What do I get from this employee that I don't get from everyone else? And that is, look, I can make sausages. I can make them longer than they really are. I don't know, but it's a manufacturing company. I said, right, I'm a food technician. I can make your sausages look bigger than they are. People feel like they're getting more value for money. X, Y, I don't know. But the fact is, for me, I need to know that the person I'm presenting in front of the boss is that value add, is that bit better, because I need to make myself look better in front of the boss. Now, level 3, final interview. I'm going to be looking, now if I'm going to conduct an interview, I'm going to be looking for someone with a bit of personality, because I expect my understaff to have done all the hard work. Now I'm looking for somebody who's going to give me a benefit. So they're a bit more, I'll give you the extra mile person, the one who says I can bring, revenue into your business because I've got this knowledge that you don't seem to have. I've checked your website, it's not there, XYZ. That type of conversation is a conversation that I want to hear, because I want to feel this person now, after having gone through 2 phases, knows my company better than I do. I'm going to be shocked. Oh, do you know we do that? Well, yeah, we do that as well. How did you know? Yes, I checked your website. Right, okay, what can you do for me? So it becomes a bit more like an owner talking to a person who's less of an employee, more of a consultant on a payroll. That's what wins job applications. Knowing
very good
that
points.
you have to deal with your interviewer according to the level that they're at. And normally big companies have 3 levels, small companies have 2 levels, but either way, the person interviewing you, unless it's a small company and they've got the boss is the person taking the interview, then he's going to want technical experience matching the job requirement, and then he's going to want, what can you give me? What are you that the others aren't? That's going to all happen in the same interview. That's where it's purely about selling your personality, because the boss is going to look at your job and say, oh, he's got experience. He's fried fish before. I need a fish fryer. Oh, that's good. Well, what can you do? Oh, actually, I can fry fish with my feet as well. Oh, great. Production goes up. I've got a person who can fry 2 frying pans at the same time. That is the way employers look at you. And that is what we miss, because we are behaving at every level of the interview as if this is the decision maker. And you must realize that if there's a tiering in the interview, there's 3 stages or 2 stages in the interviewing process, that means the person who's interviewing us is not at the level of decision making. And that's one tip that I give back.
I agree. Very good points. Very good points. I've found that from my own hard, painful experience, that it's not always the best experienced person that gets the job. It's the best interviewed.
That's right.
Exactly what you said. If you look at it as a way of adding value, and this is a tip that I've learned myself, is that when someone, maybe it could be a final interview, like you said, with the decision maker, and they say, do you have any questions for us? This is one tip I found, and I found this, I think in a book by James Calm, the Ex-Dragon's Den entrepreneur. And he said, how can I effectively add value to your company profitably? Now, that's a question a lot of people don't ask, and a lot of people don't ask questions. They've given you an opportunity to ask questions. Like you said, they've all done the heavy lifting, as Lakhi Singh, just take a hint from him. They've done all the heavy lifting, and you want to know that this person has come to you prepared and knows more about your business than you do. And then you say, this is a person that I want to hear more from. And say you get to that point and you realize you've got so many strong applicants that you've got 6, and then you whittle down to say 3, and the other two are what you're looking for. But this person, the third person, come in, he's very relaxed, very comfortable. You grill him, and then he asks you these questions, and you know more than that. Who's going to be at the forefront of your mind? Probably that third person.
Excellent.
You might not even remember the other 2.
So what we've brought out from this conversation about rejection is handling rejection. We're not going to at the moment. We're going to go back and see how you handle it. At the moment, we're saying, let's fix the problem, because it's about Lakhi Singh, the fixer. We're not here to tell you about the bad side of it or the difficult bit. We're trying to get people to realize in this difficult time, whilst they're trying to apply for jobs, try and do things online, etc., etc., what is the best way? How would you do it? And that is a little bit of input we give to make sure people listening to us find some sense of proportion in this topic. Right. So we realize that rejection or being considered for a job is about us being a bit more than one-dimensional. We need to realize people who are interviewing are at different levels, their criteria are different, and they have to be spoken to in that manner so that we get the best chance of getting to the final stage. And the final stage normally is, as Regis says, it's about personality, and it's also about that value add, keeping a fine balance. You can't show yourself to be overconfident, because no boss wants an overconfident, clever employee. They want someone who is going to keep a modesty, but want to give their knowledge in terms of their experiences and show that they can add value in the same.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Now I want to ask a question. Let's suppose you are rejected. You get to the final stage, and there's 6 people left, and Rajesh, you are one of those 6. Have you had that situation that even though you were one of the 6, you ended up getting the job?
Actually, a couple of years ago, I went for a customer service role for it was a car auction company or something. Did a lot of research on the because I didn't know anything really about car auctions. I know you just buy and sell them, but it was quite a big company, and they were based not that far, probably about 40 minutes. And I had a telephone interview, like you said. Then I had a face-to-face interview, and I think then they called me back for a second interview, I recall. And because I made it to they had a lot of applicants. There was a lot of competition for the job. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. And then a couple of days later, they said, we'll be getting back to your applicants with feedback. And a couple of days later, I think towards the end of the week, I was applying for other positions as well. And they said, hi, is that Mr. Rajesh Malhotra? I said, speaking. Hi, let's just say Debbie here from the company that you applied for. Thank you for coming for the interviews. Unfortunately, on this occasion, you haven't been successful. And the reason being is because the other person had more experience than you. Now, there's nothing you can do about that, because she did say that I interviewed quite well. You will get occasions like that. So, but what I did, I'll say just a little bit more, just give me feedback, because I'm going for other interviews, just so that. And she said, one of the questions that I stumbled on, I think if I remember was, and you'll get asked this question, is, do you have any weaknesses? And the answer is to say, yes, I do have a weakness, and to turn that weakness into a strength. But the weakness I gave maybe wasn't strong enough, or maybe it came across a bit overconfident in that weakness. So you do need to. I mean, in this occasion, I wasn't that upset because the other person had experience in car auctions. I didn't, so I couldn't match with that. But there have been times when I have been the better candidate, right? But the other person was more prepared for the interview, like you said. They were more prepared for or maybe they're more hungry for it. So sometimes you go for an interview, and the company, because you got to look at it this way.
The question I'm asking a question. The question is, I want to know, how have you managed to handle the rejection?
Well,
when you did get to that stage, what did you do? Did you have a feeling about it? Because you had other coals in the iron, that's why it wasn't really an issue, because you had more frogs.
Yeah. I had other frogs, but what I did is I kept a sense of perspective, because it's the same as when you're calling decision makers. I said to myself, right, I can either say, oh, going for interviews is a waste of time, but you've got to remember, as you go for more interviews, you get better at interviews, and then you start focusing on what you can do for them rather than what they can do for you. You see, and that's what I learned as I went along. So you don't know. You may get hired on the first interview that you go for, but you may get rejected on the 10th interview. But the 11th interview you may get. You don't know. You have to be persistent. It's just
persistence. Okay, that's a word I think everyone can resonate with. Persistence. Okay, I think persistence is important.
It's very important.
You are going for job interviews, because you need to keep focused and need to remember, like you said, it's a weird way of looking at it, that you've kissed one frog, that means there's only a few left and more to go. And it is a numbers game. I will say,
it is.
You said in the car, like you're advertising something, and you're thinking, why has anybody not responded to my advertisement? I pay for it as well. It is a numbers game. Advertisement, circulation, acceptance, getting is all about the numbers game. You gotta go through the X number of it. And it doesn't mean after you've got one job and you had 7 interviews, and then after that, every interview you're gonna get the job. But what it means is there's a cycle, as a natural cycle that you're not in control of. And like you said, there'll be people out there who don't even deserve the job get the job. And there's an interesting
more
fact
prepared.
about that. Right? No, forget about that. There is an interesting fact, even in the UK job market, that 80% of jobs are taken by reference. Quite weird, because people think, oh, we apply for the job, we get the job, it's only because we deserved it, or XYZ. 80% of jobs are actually secured by reference. So really, the job is being found by reference. It's a weird psychology, because you expect in the developed world people get the job on merit, they deserve the job. Now, preference, 80%. So that kicks everyone in the teeth when you think that you're getting the job because you deserved it.
Absolutely.
Not in the proportions of stats. Okay, now let's move on now, because we've only got about 15 minutes left, and it's a very interesting topic. Now, what I want to do is I want to look at failure now, because that's a different thing. Rejection suggests more short term, a very intrinsic position where you're interviewed or you're looking for a relationship, and there's a rejection. That's the beginning bit of your journey with somebody, whether it's a personal journey or a working or a journey, or any of those. Rejection. And we've spoke about it, we've sort of handled it, we realized one clever technique that's come out from Rajesh is that have more than one coal in the iron. Because if you've got more than one coal in the iron, you don't feel the pinch, because you're looking forward to the next interview. If you're just looking for one job, oh, that's your dream job, then obviously, I mean, you can get dream jobs, I can understand. There are dream jobs like being a cameraman for an adult video show. That's a dream job. And somebody doesn't get it, probably disappointed, probably feel very deflated. But the bottom line is apply for another company. So that's how to manage your rejection. Failure, however, is something which is a bit more long, deeper rooted. It's about making something, having something, working somewhere, creating something, nurturing something, and then finding it all wilts. A bit like a sad sausage. Right, tell us, failure, sir. How do you handle failure? And what do you do with failure? Is it consistent with the saying of this week that your wounds should be turned into wisdom? Is that the way you handle failure? Do you look at it as a wound, a failure, but you learn from it and move on? What do you do when you say failure? What are you talking about, Rajesh? Because it's your topic. I'm sure you've got some live examples.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. I probably could talk all day about failure. I've failed many times, on many occasions. And like you said, I just want to let everyone know that failure is the other side of the coin of success. You cannot be successful without encountering failure. Now, I know failure gets a stigma here in the UK. The Americans seem to be better at it. Especially if you're starting a business, you will encounter failure. Failure, to my mind, is never permanent. It's never fatal. Well, I hope not, anyway. And it's just a feeling that you've had. You've tried something, it didn't work. But the thing is to learn from that. You know, there's a famous saying, I think it was by Bill Gates, mistakes are portals of discovery. Failure is basically telling you that what you tried didn't work, learn from it, dust yourself off, get up and try again. I don't know if you know the story of Thomas Edison, who invented or created electricity. And it took him over 10,000 times before he invented the light bulb. And there was a journalist there sniggering at him saying, look, you failed 10,000 times. And he paused for a moment, looked up, I think, and then he answered, no, my young sir, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 times that didn't work, or 999,000 times it didn't work. Now, how many people would go through that? How many people try things and give up on the first or second? Now, let me tell you, like I said, it sometimes you will take failure personal, and if you do, just let the emotions go. But as you look back, you realize that you may be put on a better path. I remember when I was starting businesses, a couple of businesses. One business, it was an online business, and I put a lot of money into it. And I thought, yeah, this is great. I'm going to put a website on, got a lot of stock, put the product on there, and you know what I mean? People are going to buy it. Bank manager's going to be laughing, or I'm going to be laughing all the way to the bank manager. And didn't sell one product. Wasted a lot of time, energy, money. And I was really upset, I believe you, because that was all the money I had at that time. I wasn't even working, but I thought I'd give it a go. And then later on, I sort of reflected on it, and I said, well, there were many issues. For a start, I didn't research the market properly. I didn't find out who my ideal customer was. It was becoming a saturated market. And I learned from that. And suffice to say, it made me realize that you cannot really succeed. I mean, yes, you can get lucky. There are people who strike it gold, whether it's starting a business, doing a podcast, whatever. But those are few and far between. The vast majority of people, and this even relates to when you're applying for jobs and the rejection, then you take it as a failure. You feel you're failed as a person. One thing I will say, if you take nothing else from this, is never confuse your self-worth with your net worth. I used to do that, right? Your self-worth is different because it's related to your self-esteem. Now, if you do fail, just allow you to go through those emotions that you have been experiencing, and then say to yourself, well, okay, I failed, put my hands up, but that doesn't mean I give up. Maybe I'll try something else. I tried a different career or a different business. You don't know, because time is also a great healer. When things happen, right? And I know we were talking about this with Sapna yesterday, but you've got to, if you want to succeed, you've got to keep on. I mean, there's a famous saying by Thomas J. Watson, the junior, I think, the founder of IBM. He said, if you want to be a success, double your failure rate. But people take failure as, they failed themselves, they failed their families, but you are still the same person. What you tried didn't work. So what? Big deal. I mean, were you injured in anything? No. Yeah. And like you said, turn your wounds into wisdom. To reflect back on that and say, okay, it didn't work. I'll try something else. Or maybe I'll do a twist on that. I mean, J.K. Rowling.
Okay, I've got a question that's coming up, and before I ask that question, it's the last one today, I think, because we're running out of time. Satwinder Gill obviously thinks there's an excellent conversation going on. Thank you very much, Sati Gill. Thank you so much for watching us. Okay, right. I'm going to ask you that. Okay, failure. The word failure.
Yeah.
What is failure? I mean, the fact that you are alive, it comes back to that conversations we had just before the New Year's and the ones that we had at the beginning of the New Year, where we said, well, hang on, why don't we make this difficult time a time to reflect and be grateful? Yes. Now, gratefulness itself does not allow you to encompass the word failure. Maybe we're using the word failure because we're ungrateful, because we are putting expectation on everything. This is one of the things that I think we got from the conversations we had with, is it Deborah Sophia, maybe? Deborah Sophia, that's right. We had a conversation with her, the 20-man as well. And that is that your expectations, your your desires, or your your requirements make you see things in another light, and when you don't get what you're looking for, you don't get what you are expecting, because you're expecting it and you're not grateful for the fact. And in terms of, I've had interviews where someone's actually come in and said to me that they're grateful for the opportunity of having the interview. It's a wonderful thing for an interviewee to say, because it changes the light on that person who's coming into, because they don't probably have all the knowledge they need. They're probably not the best they can, but it makes you feel very different about the interviewer or interviewee. Because they're telling you, even though they don't even know if they got the job or not, but they're telling you that they're very grateful for the opportunity that they've been given in having an interview. I mean, it's amazing to say that, but even saying that changes the way someone perceives of you. Exactly. And being grateful, I think, is a message from us all. And now that we're running out, how many minutes have we got left? We've got 2 minutes left. Rajesh, I want you to summarize today. So, failure, rejection, is it a wound? And do you turn that failure and that rejection into wisdom? Is that what you've done in your history?
Yes. Like I said, I haven't always, like everyone else, I'm human, and sometimes I do take failure personally. But I agree with you totally. One thing that I've learned to do, one of my coaches has told me to do, is when I get up in the morning, write 10 things that I'm grateful for. And what that has actually done is it sets me up for the day. And another thing I talk about is journaling. A lot of successful people, and that when you're feeling down and despondent, take out a journal and write stuff down, especially if you've just been rejected. You might have gone for many interviews and been rejected, but you don't know that next one. See, people give up just before they're about to grasp the cup, you see. And
I think, isn't that normally the psychology of gambling? Yeah, isn't that the gambling psychology? Anyhow, we're going to have to say goodbye today, because we've had really about on time. Rajesh, we can try to continue this conversation. I think it's very interesting.
Welcome.
We'll have you back on again, and we'll go into more detail.
I'm very thankful, and I'm very grateful as well that you've had me on again.
No, thank you so much for your time. You're always it's always a pleasure to have your energy on. Right, so we're going to close today's topic with obviously failure and rejection. They say is a step further towards achieving the goal. That's another way of looking at it. And obviously, we've also got a couple of other wonderful sayings for failure and rejection. But today we'll leave it. We'll try and bring it in next time in the topic when we have Lakhi Singh on as well, who's a gentleman who mentors lots of people into getting to their goals by trade and rejection in a positive way and turning it into wisdom. So take care, everyone. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone.
Actually, not 8 a.m. tomorrow. 45 to 9:30 tomorrow. Live drive time. Lakhi Singh, the property and business fixer with the alternative business and property solutions community. Take care, sir.